This thing on? Are we live? Oh crap. I think we're live. Good morning. This South Coast Kane. At least I'm doing this in the morning live. It's Wednesday morning. It is roughly almost 9 o'clock in the morning where I'm at, 10 o'clock over on the East Coast. And I just wanted to come on here. I just saw Isreal from the bottom of the map. He just put a little video out, a little short video. Enough is enough, part 2. And I was compelled to come on because first off, I got breaking news. Breaking news. Me, South Coast Kane, has been dubbed. I have been coronated. Okay, I have been labeled. Okay, enough of that. As the third most hated Miami Hurricanes fan. Third most hated. Now, Cuban was ranked number 2. All right. And, excuse me, I'm coming for you, number 2 ranking, Cuban. I'm not going to settle for third place. Nah. Yeah, crazy, isn't it? I am now the number 3 most hated Miami Hurricane fan in the world. Okay. Am I supposed to be upset? Am I supposed to curl up in a ball? Am I supposed to go, crying in a corner? Am I supposed to, find a safe space? Am I supposed to come out and be mad? Am I supposed to come out and just flame broil the initiative? Nah. I'm not going to do that. I think it's funny. And honestly, I really don't give a rat's ass. Okay? I don't care. I don't do what I do based on, is somebody gonna like me? Is somebody gonna hate me? Do I need to say this? Do I need to say that? Nah. I'm just when I started this YouTube stuff, if you've been around, it's just as if we're just sitting around the picnic table or sitting on the patio, just talking, and it kind of leads me into the new Ike, I say Ike, the Ike in Israel, but it was Israel. His latest "Enough Is Enough" Part 2 video. I want to give a video response because, man, I can't say what I want to say in the comments section and type it because I would, write a novel, a war and peace novel. But yeah, to what Israel said, it's when it comes to this social media, when it comes to this video, social media, vis-a-vis the YouTubes, etc., there are a lot of politics, and you have, if you think that your success is based on who you do not upset, if your success is based on, who do I keep happy? First off, that's your prerogative. I am not here to judge or ridicule or insult or anything. If that's what you do your thing, baby. Do you. Okay. And I had discussed it prior that I fell into the trap that I did not want to fall into. But regardless, yeah. Uh, but I guess first and foremost, before anything else, to Mr. Israel, thank you. Thank you so much for the kind words. Thank you for the kind words that you showed to Cuban and Katie. I can vouch for their character for what that's worth. But yeah, the thing is, um, there is a lot of politics out there, and a lot of folks are trying to a you know they're trying to make their their avenue of social media successful, and they are trying to do what they think is right for them and their channel or social media outlet. And why does my hat look so crooked? Oh my gosh. Sorry about that. Anyway, yeah, those fine folks out there, I'm going to primarily, the YouTubes, they're going to do what they think is right for them and their channel and their success. And that's not for me to judge. That's for them to do their thing. And if people gravitate to that, fine, cool, do your thing. I'm not here to, this is not a competition. But I will say that it is very easy. It is very easy to fall into the trap of trying to keep people happy and try not to upset people. But I have learned in the past months that you got to stay true to you. Okay. And I know some of my comments, some of my opinions, some of my thoughts and theories and philosophies and methodologies have upset people. And I did not execute for said uh, thoughts, theories, opinions, and methodologies and philosophies to piss people off. No, it's not what I do. I'm me. I'm going to be me. I'm going to say and do and act and everything else the best that, the only way I can be me. All right. It's like my last video. I kind of got a little heated. I kind of got a little excited. I don't want to say flew off the handle, but I kind of flew off the handle. And that's just because, you know, in the words of Israel, enough's enough. I just, it's just frustrating. And to what Israel said again, for appreciate the kind words, my friend. Appreciate the kind words. But for Israel in his latest video, part 2 of Enough is Enough, he basically asked a very profound question in that as a Hurricanes fan, what is enough to satisfy your Hurricane fandom? In other words, what is going to make you okay? That's right. You're right, Katie. You're right. How them dune cats this morning. It's getting a little warm out there now. No, but I mean, honestly, I just got through watching it probably about 10 minutes ago, and I'm like, damn, that's a good question. That is a damn good question. And that, there is no right, there is no wrong answer. In other words, Katie, I'll pick on you. Hopefully, Katie, I forgot to tell you. The CEO asked for your email address. I got the email address off your YouTube channel. I hope that's okay. I don't know what the CEO. I guess maybe she wants to get into a tag team or whatever. But yeah, the CEO. I think the CEO likes it. But anyway, yeah, the question that Israel posed was a very, very good question in my opinion. Very good question. And one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing right now is because oh Lord, the CEO who's supposed to be at work. I know I always have to make the CEO happy. I know that I'm stupid. But anyway, it's a good question. It's a good question. And there's no right or wrong answers. And I wanted to come on here and just let Israel know that he's talking about possibly doing some derivative of the rise of the fall type thing. And look, Israel, if you see this, Israel, you are more than welcome to anything that I've put on the YouTube for as information. You are more than welcome to use any of it. If there's any other information you want, I think I should have the PDF file. If there's anything you need as far as information or whatever, just reach out to me, southcoastkane.com. Let me know. I am more than happy to help you out, buddy. Oh, but man, I hope Norman don't show up. Anyway, yeah, I just want to let Israel know that, whatever I can do to help you out for your other show, just let me know. I give you full access to anything I have put out on video. But anyway, it's a damn good question. It ranks, in my opinion, it ranks up there with Cuban Canes, who is allegedly a hockey fan, and he likes to spend his free time with AI and making these fake pictures of people, primarily me. I want to go on record to say that I don't appreciate those photos. At Mr. Draper 5. Do I need to get back into Mr. Draper 5? Sitting there putting photos of me out with Red Bull gear, racing gear on, and Florida Panthers gear on. Now, but to Mr. Israel and his fancy orange shades, that it's a good question. And again, my first thought is to what is enough to be satisfied or whatever. I mean, it's just we need game day game plan. We need to have a coaching staff that out executes another team, regardless of the talent level. We can't have coaches that rely on out talenting other teams, and that's been the thorn in Miami's side since 2001. They try to out talent. And if y'all had seen my latest video, I brought up the 97, 98, 99, 2000 team. And if you take the 98 team, the 98 Miami Hurricanes team, I recommend you go back to the 98 team and primarily focus on December of 1998. Now, in case you are not hip, if you're not up to date on your Miami Hurricane football history, that's okay. That's okay. But in December of 98, Miami took on UCLA. I believe at the time UCLA was ranked number 2. The game was rescheduled due to, oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot the hurricane name. But there's a hurricane come through, and the game was rescheduled until December. UCLA all they had to do was come into the Orange Bowl, beat a lowly Miami. I believe at the time they were 7-3. Okay. So if UCLA would have won that game, they went to the national championship against Kansas State. Or anyway, regardless, who cares? That's not the point of the story. The fact of the matter is, if today's, the 2024, 23, whatever teams would have been in that situation, what would have happened? Okay. And I can tell you right now what that 98 team did in December of 98 was impressive. Now, there were a lot of questionable calls on the field by the referee, but the fact of the matter is, the Edgerrin come out 299 yards rushing. Let's say 300. And this lowly Miami team beat that UCLA team. And then that 98 Miami Hurricane football team won a bowl game. When's the last time Miami said they could win? They won a bowl game. But I guess, and again, this little soiree that we have right now really doesn't give it justice. I mean, this question that Isreal posed is something that, you're talking like a 2-hour show about it, because there's so much. And if you have been paying attention, if you have been like some of the faithful, the only way I could describe y'all, that have endured the Rise of the Fall series and have relived and revisited what's happened since 04. It's easy to say, in my opinion, that it's just been piss poor game day game planning by the coaches. And it still happens today. That's right. I said it. I talked about it in episode 21 of Rise of the Fall. In that, if it hadn't have been for Cam Ward and the $1 million+ that Miami spent on having that young man play for Miami probably would have only won 6, maybe 7 games. I think they may have only won 5, but that's my opinion. And you can sit there and elevate my ranking to the number 2 hated most hated Miami fan. I don't care. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. Okay. And the fact of the matter is, as we sit here, or if you're standing or laying or whatever you're doing right now, we sit here today in 2025, and this coaching staff has more luxuries than any other coaching staff in the history of University of Miami football. They have more luxuries and the fewest obstacles or obstacles than any coaching staff in the history of University of Miami. Okay? You got basically an open checkbook to sign whatever free agent you want. Okay? And that's why I harp on the time period from 97. I got the puppy dogs just having a WWF match underneath my legs. You know, that's when I harp on the 97, 98, 99, 2000 team because there was no open checkbook. Now, some will say that Little Nathan is the reason for the success of the 2001 team. All right, cool. All right. And yeah, I'm not oblivious to the fact that a lot of teams were giving players a little extracurricular benefits. Okay, I'm not naive. I'm not dumb. But the fact of the matter is, Miami just wrote a check for $4+ million for a quarterback with a busted elbow. All right. And back in the late 90s, you had little Scott Covington. So I just, for me personally, I think it comes down to consistent on-field success on game day. It comes down to out executing the opposing team because the reason why I say that is on one of the episodes of Rise of the Fall, I don't remember if it was the 2022 or 2023 season, but I brought up a graphic that showed the recruiting stars of the teams in the ACC Coastal. And if you go by the star rankings, because hey, look, there's enough folks out there going by the star rankings. Matter of fact, all the talk last week was this was the biggest recruiting weekend in Miami history. The crazy thing is, a month ago, they said the same thing. 6 months ago, they said the same thing. Last year, they said the same thing. Every weekend's a big recruiting weekend for Miami. You know, do y'all not see it? Do y'all not pay attention? But what I'm getting at is in 20 plus years, 21 years, Miami has had better star ranked recruits than basically any team in the coast. Okay, like Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is a thorn in Miami's side. Georgia Tech has Miami's number. Let's be real. Okay. And no disrespect to Georgia Tech, but if you go back and you pull up all of their recruits, I think they may have had about 3 or 4 stars, maybe a 5, but the majority of Georgia Tech was 2 and 3 stars. Okay. But Miami, on the other hand, they had your 4s, your 5s, et cetera, et cetera. But Georgia Tech went out there, out executed, out there. Miami was out coached. Georgia Tech out game day, game plan, you know. And again, it's like For some reason, for some reason, the the yeah, you're right, kid. For some reason, the coaching staffs at Miami, since Coker the Choker, they've depended on out talenting the opposing team. And I'm telling you right now, I'm telling you, you can hate me, I don't care. 2001, everybody complains 2001 is the greatest. 2001 Miami Hurricanes football team, they proclaim them as the greatest team in NCAA football history. Give you a little insight, okay? That 2001 team was talented, player wise. Unfortunately, the coaching staff wasn't. And I would go on record right now to tell you because I keep it real. I'm just telling you. You know, the big talk is the 2019 LSU Tigers. Damn good team. Damn good team. You know, if the 2019 LSU Tigers took on the 2001 Miami Hurricanes, what would happen? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, with the coaching staff Miami had, LSU would have beat the fool out of them because Larry Coker didn't have a clue. Straight up. Now, the talent that Miami had they may not have. We don't know. May not have. What the hell is that? But the fact of the matter is, I believe that team would have got out coached. I'm just saying. But back to the original theme of this story. When is enough enough? And right now, like I said, to have Miami, and this is probably any fan of any team, you want the team to go out there and execute. You want the team to be set up for success. You want consistent success. That's really it, you know? And let's say Miami is successful. Let's say they're successful. They win the ACC. All right, how do we improve on that? Okay, what did we do right? What did we do wrong? Okay, then the next season, you win the SEC, you win the ACC, you make it to the playoffs, you make it to the semifinals. Okay, how do we improve on that? The next year, win the ACC, you make it to the championship game. How do you improve on that? Okay, the next year, ACC, you win the championship. Okay, how do you improve on that? You continuously improve. You don't sit there like Miami did in the early 2000s and, oh, well, we won the 01 championship. We're just going to sit back because we're Miami. No, you got to stay. You have to continuously strive for success. You can't accept mediocrity, in which most people have done today. Okay, I said I wasn't going to do this. Miami baseball. Okay, I'm going there. Yeah, Miami won the Starkville region. All right. Everybody has touted now. They have saying that JD Artiega is the greatest coach in the world. Where are all you haters at now? Yada yada yada. But you know what I find funny? And you can quote me on this. I don't care. But what I find is very funny is, you know, a few weeks ago, where were these people at? 2 months ago, where were they at? Miami wins a regional. Now all of a sudden, everybody is Miami baseball fans. Everybody is praising the baseball team. Everybody's praising Artiega. But where were you 2 months ago, 3 months ago? You were nowhere to be found. Okay? And I'm going to give you a little secret. Now, again, I'm the third most hated Miami fan on the internet today. I'm trying to get that number 2 ranking, and I'm trying to go number 1, baby. But let's be realistic. If you watched that game on Monday night, yeah, old Smith was throwing strikes. His slider was working. Okay, but guess what? Poor kid got tired. They went to the bullpen. Next thing you know, here Southern Miss is coming. They coming, and then Walters comes in, and they're coming. Here comes Southern Miss. And no disrespect to Southern Miss, because I have family that graduated from Southern Miss, and I don't want to, be insulting, but it's Southern Miss. Okay. And here's the problem. Here's the problem I have with JD. He could not develop a pitching staff. And the pitching staff that is pitching right now are guys that he was coaching as a pitching coach. You have no dominant starter. You have no 3-4 man rotation. All right. You got one guy who had a slider that was working like a son of a gun. And Miami was successful against Southern Miss. And I'm telling you, Louisville ain't no joke. And look, don't get me wrong. I'm very happy that Miami won the regional. I'm happy they beat Alabama. Boy, am I happy they beat Alabama. Okay. Oh, oh yeah, Katie, it's a contest. I'm going for the top. But Miami had Alabama, Columbia, and Southern Miss. And now they're going to play Louisville. Again, I'm glad they won the region. I hope they come out and win the Super Regional. I hope Miami goes to the World Series in Omaha. Yeah, I do. Unfortunately, I've seen pitching staffs, that Artiega produces. And let me give y'all a little perspective also. This 2025 baseball team is the first time this baseball team has advanced to a super regional since 2016. Yeah. Let that sink in for a second. Now, all of a sudden, because, Artiego led Miami baseball team, made it to the super regionals, he's the greatest coach of all time. The sun shines on a dog's ass every now and then. All right. And I'm telling you, me personally, Artiega can't even establish a pitching staff. How is he going to establish a baseball team? But anyway, to the young men on the baseball team, I wish them success. I hope they do well. I'll be rooting for them to win. I just don't know if this pitching staff can handle or sustain or be able to have, success based on what Artiega or Laser Gutierrez. Anyway, back to the regular program. Oh, but I just wanted to get on here and ramble because obviously you have some Canes fans in the panhandle of Florida that just can't stand people like me. Well, actually, they can't stand me or Cuban. We're clowns. Okay. But it's cool. I really don't care. I really think that Canes fans from the 850 area code probably have latent Florida Gator love, or they have secret closet Florida State love. Oh, it's easy, and I know I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it. But it's easy to sit there and type in South Coast Kane, you're a clown, yada 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 yada. You know, from the Panhandle. No disrespect to the Panhandle of Florida, but it's pretty close to Alabama, pretty close to Georgia. All right, but it's easy to sit there and say that crap, typing it, you know. But I digress. But anyway, that I've been rambling for 36 minutes, and I felt like I haven't said anything. But to Mr. Israel, oh, cool shades, Israel, cool shades. Um, that's a damn good question. And when is enough enough? And you can ask that question to any college football fan for their respective teams. Just me personally, I'm not so much worried about the wins and losses as much as I am how do you play the game? How are you executing the game plan? How are you performing on the field? How are the players being developed? How is the team trying to improve week by week? That's all. And if it results, if the team's out there playing their asses off and the best they can do is 6-6 and they get overpowered by other better teams, cool. It is what it is. But, again, this past season, 2024, everybody says you should be happy with 10 wins. You are what the record says you are. You are this. But see, here it is. Here's the thing. Yeah, Miami went 10-3. Finished the regular season 10-2. All you had to do was beat a lowly Syracuse team, and you're in the ACC championship. Okay, but to sit back and validate the 2024 season. Okay, to validate the 2024 season as a success, only because Miami won 10 games is whitewashing over the fact that the defense was horrible. You lost to Georgia Tech. You lost to Syracuse. You gave up a 21-point lead to Syracuse. You lost to an Iowa State team because Emory has not been developed. Okay? Yeah, the record, you may sit there. I mean, it's crazy because people will compensate reality to fit their narrative. Okay? And what I mean by that is you got folks out there that will tell us, we won 10 games for the first time in whatever. You should be happy. But that whitewashes the fact that Miami had lost to Georgia Tech. You blew a 21-point lead to Syracuse, and you blew a chance to go to the ACC championship game with probably the worst performing defense in Miami history. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Do you? Am I? I feel like I'm the only one who feels that way. In that, if the defense would have executed more properly, yeah, I guess I can say that it would have been a different story. But we, as Miami fans, are told that you should be happy because they won 10 games. Forget the fact that You lost to Georgia Tech, and you blew a 21-point lead to Syracuse. You had to come back against the Virginia Tech team. You had to come back against the Cal team. You had to basically outscore a Louisville team. You barely dominated a Florida State team that was 1-6. Okay, you know, eh, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And you know what? Honestly, if I get persecuted, if I'm called this clown by a panhandle Florida Gator, Florida State alleged loving Canes fan for bringing these points out, don't get mad at me. Get mad at life. That's reality. You know, that's reality. And whether you like it or not, it is what it is. Now, if you choose to pay no attention to the man behind the curtain and do exactly what the wizard tells you to do, okay, bring the witch's broom back, and you will be validated, you will be adjudicated, and you will be, you know, damn, I can't think of another. Validated as a Canes fan if you go by what we tell you to say. Sorry, cowboy. That's how I roll, bruh. I've been seeing this stuff. And I stick by my guns and I will die on this hill. But what Butch Davis did in the late 90s has far exceeded anything Mario has done. It is not a Butch versus Mario. I'm talking head coaches. Straight up. Straight up. I mean, if you don't believe me, go look at the history. And, the crazy thing is, all these Miami fans, they all of a sudden showed up when Miami went with Cam. They were nowhere to be found back in the late 90s. Most of them probably weren't born. But what I'm getting at is when the road got rough and you hit some potholes, them bastards jumped off the bandwagon like fleas off a coon dog in a dip. But now when Miami gets successful, they jump back on. You see where I'm getting at? Well, well, well. The hockey guy has showed up. The hockey guy, the fake news spreading individual has showed up. But no, I mean, seriously though, what's up, Cuban? Oh, but yeah, I mean, I'm not making any of this up. I'm not giving you, I mean, all my opinions and theories and thoughts and philosophies are based on what I've seen, okay, from what I remember and have, you know, went back and reinvestigated. Okay. Oh, Cuban. Oh, and by the way, Penny had Shaq. T Mac didn't, but I digress. Oh, and the fact of the matter is you have a core group of us Miami fans that will not accept or validate, mediocrity just for the sake of success. In other words, Miami won 10 games last year. Okay, cool. Well, let's look how they won it. Okay, and you know, but I'm not trying to insult those folks who say that. I really am not. I really am not. I am not here to just start a war or a fight or any type of YouTube scuttle. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying, personally, if you feel that 10-3 is successful, okay, cool. But don't come at me when I say, hold up, time out. How did we get, what did that 10-3 actually look like? Don't sit there and ridicule me, okay? Because I'm telling you, and I'm not a vengeful person, but I will say this. If I sit here and tell you that 10-3 got you exactly what 6-6 would have, don't sit there and say, well, you're just not a real Miami fan. You're the number 3 hated Miami fan in the world. But you see what I'm getting at? Even though I don't say anything when these cats spew whatever out their mouth. Just say it. Exactly, Katie. Exactly. Exactly. And it's funny how the hypocrisy, that's right, I went there. This time last year, the big talk was the standard. The standard. But yet, this 2024 season, you know, Miami basically pumped their way into a 10-win season. Because again, I posed the question. I'm going to be like Israel. I'll be like Cuban. I'm going to pose a question. What would a 2024 season look like without a Cam Wood? That's all I'm saying. Now, some people will say, but you're living in the land of ifs and whats and whatever. We had Cam. And how is that different from the 98 team with Kenny Kelly going to play NC State in the bowl game? If I'm wrong, y'all let me know. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But anyway, I know I've been rambling for almost 48 minutes, and all I wanted to do was give a video response to Israel at the bottom of the map. Enough is enough, part 2. But you know me, it's bad enough I spend 30 minutes nonstop on a phone call on other channels that get ridiculed for it. But I figure this is my channel, my live stream. I'm gonna do what I want to do. But the fact of the matter is, folks, it's plain and simple. It's plain and simple. Uh, if, in my opinion, if this team, who happens to have a head coach named Mario, if year 4, in which 27 out of 66 recruits since 2022, when this regime took over, have left the university, 41%, or I probably should say 60% retainment rate for this present coaching staff with recruits. 4th year, and where are the homegrown players? I know Cuban likes to bring up the fact about this is going to be year 4 for Mario, and we still have to get a quarterback out the portal. But see, nobody wants to discuss that because it disrupts the narrative of pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. The CCC has told us everything is good. The CCC says this past weekend was the biggest weekend for recruits ever in the University of Miami football history. The CCC is telling us that we've had the most high-ranking recruit classes under Mario than any other team in America. But they don't tell you is that 41% of those high-ranking recruit classes have left. And you have to depend on the portal, free agents. Why are these young men leaving? Why doesn't anybody ask that question? Because the man behind the curtain says, you don't need to worry about that. Okay. Well, here's the thing, Cuban. Okay, Mario's roster. Okay, I'm 50 minutes in. Let's continue. Mario's roster. Okay, once again, Mario's roster has lost 41% in the last since 2022. NIL free agency does not consider, in my opinion, does not. It's not the same as your roster. In my opinion, what I'm getting at is, if it's Mario's roster, those are the young men that he's recruited and has brought in and developed since 2022. Okay. Now, some people will say, well, 2022 didn't count because of whatever. But again, we've addressed this. There was like a 2 or 3 week period between Diaz getting fired and Mario getting hired, and yet these guys and these young men still upheld their commitment to the University of Miami football program. They still came. Okay. And, again, I'm not picking on Rocky. I'm not trying to insult Rocky. I really like Rocky. But my thing is, I find holes in that theory that his roster will start in 2026 when, in fact, only 39 of the 66 that signed since 2022 is still on the team as of now. 39. I'm just saying. So, again, my question is, how can you say it's Mario's roster? Are you all of a sudden including free agency as part of recruiting? And if so, why do y'all make such a big ass deal over the recruiting classes? Do you see the conundrum that is unfolding? It has unfolded. They are compromising the narrative to fit their reality. You see what I'm getting at? It's like trying to solve an equation with no constant. That's what's baffling me. What constitutes, what dictates, what are the metrics that you are using to determine Mario's roster? And I can tell you what they're going to tell you. It's the guys on the team. They're going to include NIL. They're going to include the recruiting classes. They're going to include whatever makes their narrative work. And I'm not being rude. I'm just telling you what I've seen. I'm telling you what I have witnessed. That's all. If again, I go back. I know Mr. Brown went on the Momentum podcast and basically told you how the cow eats the corn. But why wasn't he developed? Why did we need Cam Moore? You had Ja'Cory sitting there. Why didn't you develop? I was told that Emory was going to be the next Bernie Kosar, Vinny Testaverde, Steve Walsh, Erickson, Dorsey, Jim Kelly, all wrapped up in one. But you didn't develop them. I'm being told that Judd Anderson is going to be the second coming of insert your favorite Miami quarterback here. You ain't seen the field. You got this other young man, I forget his name, another alleged freshman recruit. But you still bring in a portal quarterback. I'm really trying to find the logic and the reasoning behind this behavior because it's like most of these the most vocal Canes fans, and you know what I'm talking about. They're in denial of what is reality, and that we have no quarterback available unless you go out and get a broken wing Carson Beck, a Cam Ward. But nobody wants to address the fact, why do we need to go out and get a Cam Ward? Why do we need to go out and get a broken wing Carson Beck? Why? They don't want to say that. But Mario's the best recruiter ever in the world. You see what I'm getting at? It's really frustrating because you don't see any results on the field. Okay, again, Carson Beck, we had this discussion last year with Cam. So Carson Beck comes in, and so we have what, 1 year of eligibility? What happens next year? Am I going to be told, or are we going to be told, don't worry about next year? Next year, we ain't worried about next year. Worry about now. Remember that last year at this time? We brought up the fact, what do we do for 2025 after Cam leaves? Don't worry about 2025. You're just being a hater. You know? Exactly, Cuban. Exactly. In other words, if you think Mario is the best recruiter ever, okay, cool, no problem. But let's be realistic about this. All right? Let's be realistic. Let's look at the numbers. Let's look at the reality of it. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. The game field hasn't dictated it. I think the game field, the game day playing has dictated that nobody has a real game plan. I'm just saying. But anyway, I really didn't intend. This is probably the world record length patio perspective, but I really wanted to give a shout, as cool kids say, a shout out to Israel over there at the bottom of the map. I really like those guys. They are genuine. They are not trying to appease anybody. They're kind of like us. I kind of model this channel after them in that they're going to tell you what they think, whether you like it or not. You can call them a hater. You can love them. You can hate them. It doesn't matter. They're going to still give you their honest opinion. And that's how we do. So, it is what it is. I'm coming for that number 2 ranking, Cuban. And I'm sure this video will help me in the polls. But at the end of the day, Cuban, we're just clowns. That's all we are. We're clowns. But the world needs a little more clown activity, a little more laughter, a little more happiness. I don't know anything about hockey. What is this hockey? Is that like some kind of ESPN Ocho figure skating derivative? I don't know. What is this hockey that you keep talking of? I see these figure skaters with sticks and pads. What's up with that? But anyway, yeah, y'all, if you haven't seen it already, of course, Cuban, Israel talks about you. Katie, Israel talks about you. And of course, as always, they talk about me. Everybody talks about me and Cuban. But yeah, Israel has some very, very kind words about us. And it's much appreciated. It's much appreciated. And I guess in a way, it kind of makes me feel pretty good in that I'm just not some crazy old delusional man here in South Louisiana. One of those get off my lawn type of guys. Because I just call it like I see it. I may not be right, but I may not be wrong, but I'm going to give you my honest opinion and not based on any ties to any alliance to anybody. And that's what I hope y'all do too. And I know you do. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure Israel got the message that we appreciate the kind words. And of course, Israel, if there's anything you need vis-a-vis any of the rise and the fall information, if you want to use any of the content in the videos, you are more than welcome to. Uh, it's all public information. It's all out there. But yeah, it is very nice of him to say that. And thanks to everybody who's been here. Of course, the CEO, number one in my heart, number one on the channel. You know, even though she's supposed to be at work right now, working, but we won't tell anybody. And of course, to Cuban and to Katie. Appreciate y'all spending Wednesday morning here. I will say to this hockey guy, this is a public notice. There's this young man called Mr. Draper 5. Okay, I talked about him the other day, and I will continue to put a APB out for Mr. Draper 5. He is a hockey guy. Okay, and he is putting fake news, fake photos out of me, which I mean it's pretty funny. I think it's funny. I really do. Uh, this Mr. Draper 5 had the audacity to have a photo of me in a Red Bull F1 car. Now, here's the thing. I can tell you why it's fake on a few reasons. One, my big ass ain't gonna fit no F1 car. Second, my head was too big for the halo. Okay. But anyway, at least the Mets could take at least 2 out of 3 from the lowly Colorado Rockies, but I'll leave it at that. But anyway, that's really it. I just want to come on here and ramble because some of these people out there are delusional. Straight up, they're delusional. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. You know. But again, I'm not ridiculing, I'm not judging, I'm not insulting. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But don't, extend the same courtesy, extend the same respect to those of us who see it different. Okay? Just saying. But anyway, that's all I got. Thank y'all for spending this lovely, well, I don't know what it's like where you're at, but another lovely early June morning here in South Louisiana. No breeze, 70% humidity. It's like 90 degrees already. But who cares? It's summertime. There's no ice and snow, no snow apocalypse. But thank y'all again. Peace, love, and soul. Let's go, Canes. As you know, we just want you to be successful. And we'll catch you next time. Bye.